Good evening. Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, Friend, beloved God, great Gurus, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Shri Yukteswar, beloved Master, Paramahansa Yogananda, we bow at thy feet. Beloved God, our Divine Mother, we thank you again and again for the greatest blessing in all the three worlds, the gift of the true Guru. Bless our discipleship in the spirit of our dear friend, our guide, our teacher, and our Guru Bhai, Swami Kriyananda, that we, like him, may be pure of heart, joyful in spirit, and dedicated to truth, wherever it may lead. We are ever yours, yours alone. Om, peace, Amen. We'll have some music.
Walk like a man, even though you walk alone. Why court approval once the road is known? Let come who will, but if they all turn home, the goal still awaits you. Go on alone.
Follow your dream, though it leads to worlds unknown. Life's but a shadow, once our dreams have flown. What if men cry, your dream is not our own? Your soul knows the answer. Go on alone. Give life your heart. Bless everything that's grown. Fear not the loving. All this world's your own. Make rich the soil, but once the seed is sown, seek freedom, don't linger. Go on alone. Walk like a man, even though you walk alone. Why court approval once the road is known? Let come who will, but if they all turn home, the goal still awaits you. Go on alone. Go on alone. Go on alone. Listen. sadness of quenchless yearning for the light, for my love, your true home. Long your heart has played the dancer, long you've toyed with merest shadows of the treasures left behind you, deep in your soul. Long you've plumbed the dark for answers, long you've begged from beggars' empty hands. Gifts of life they too were seeking, gifts none could share. Friend, how long will you wander? Friend, as long as you seek your home in a land where all are strangers, love locks her door. Leave to the weak is craven, life to the cowardly is dreaming. Oh, my saint, wake up, reclaim the light, seek the truth behind all seeming. Leave to the weak is craven, life to the cowardly is dreaming. Oh, my saint, wake up, reclaim the light, seek the truth behind all seeming. Turn, turn, turn within, in silence of soul, in cave of love, find my abode. Listen, listen, whispering within your soul, hints of laughter, hints of joy, sweet songs of sadness, of quenchless yearning for the light, for my love, your true home.
Please come forward. There's plenty of seating up here. Up front, as usual. So this evening, we'll celebrate and commemorate our dear Swamiji's discipleship anniversary 68 years ago today. And in the spirit of that event, after I speak briefly, we'll enjoy a short play depicting that very time as explained in the New Path, as Swami writes in the chapter, The Pilgrim Meets His Guide. And following that, we'll have our discipleship vows together, renewed, and a flower ceremony offering flowers of devotion together here at the altar with some chanting and meditation to close. So in the spirit of Swamiji's discipleship, I was reflecting on that very chapter and thinking of J. Donald Walters as a young man who was really desperate when he came to see Master at Hollywood Church that day. And I was thinking that we too need to be desperate for God and for the Guru, not in an emotional sense, although Swami definitely had some angst when he was turned away from Master, only to be returned at his feet and to offer those words. Of course, we know his very first words, "I want to be your disciple." And if we would be desperate for God like Swamiji, I think in essence, thinking about this event, Swamiji's discipleship is really our discipleship too. And Swami said that discipleship means we can be open or we can be closed to the Guru and to God. And to be open means to be open to truth in everything and in everyone. And to be closed means to cling to littleness and to the ego. He said to be open means we're willing to abandon our opinions, our desires, our attachments at a moment's notice, no matter how much we cling to them. He said, be ready to obliterate them at a moment's notice if they don't serve us as truth and lead us to our own higher self. Swamiji also said that Master will let us sink or swim spiritually, but we have to do our part. And that through Master, our Guru, we can become disciples of everything and of everyone in life. Discipleship, we know, like Kriya, is not confined to our meditation or any one corner of our life, but the spirit of the Guru and of discipleship is in every circumstance and every part of our life. And in the spirit of Swamiji's discipleship, I was thinking there really are just two moments that I mentioned, to, spiritually speaking, the devotee on our path that really consummate the spiritual life for us. Our commitment and our transformation, I think, is at its peak. And those are discipleship and Kriya initiation. And not only for the obvious reasons tonight, but because I think discipleship is the most important thing on the spiritual path, not only in the moment of the ceremony, although surely there's great power in that too, but for all time, as I said in the opening prayer, the greatest gift in all the three worlds is discipleship. The greatest challenge, the greatest opportunity to grow spiritually is through our discipleship. And the great Kriya master and Saint Kabir said, "The Guru is great beyond words, and great is the good fortune of the disciple." Also, as I was thinking about this discipleship of Swamiji's and of Swami himself, it's interesting that what came to me just through intuition, I think, wasn't the time that I'll say I spent with Swamiji, but what I mean to say is when he was alive, when he was in the body, and so was I. It's interesting to note that just as he overlapped Master by a few years, me and several others from my generation, just a few years, whether it was 1 or 2 or 3 or none, there was just that little overlay there that I think the Guru continues his work and his mission and his blessing through his children, through his chelas. And interestingly, what came to me was actually the 1.5 years after his passing. For me personally, I was working on building the Moksha Mandir over at the Crystal Hermitage. So that was a great blessing for me to work on that project. And I did it for about a year, every week, with Sudarshan and Nakula especially, although many other great souls and helping hands were involved from start to finish. Every day on the physical plane, I worked with Nakula, who was managing the project and just doing everything, and Sudarshan, who was doing everything, every kind of trade work known to man, and some unknown, I think, as well. And myself, I was just the grunt and the gopher and the learning construction guy and just serving. And the spirit of Swami was so powerful. It is there at the Hermitage and at the Moksha Mandir, but in the creation of that sacred place. And it was a true blessing. I had a lot of opportunities to grow and to tune into Swami there. One thing I did for almost 4 months was just work with Ram Prasad, basically lifting rocks, building that rock wall. And it was awesome. You can learn a lot from rocks. We would pray to Swami and to the masters every day before we started our work. And, okay, we used a tractor, but we lifted a lot of rocks. And I remember Ram Prasad taught me early on how to put duct tape on the small of my back so I could lift a 100-pound rock and try to be manly without breaking my back. But we had a lot of fun working with those rocks. And 2 other things came to me in thinking about the Moksha Mandir. One is kind of along the lines of tuning into Swamiji. There was one guy working on one of the subcontractor crews. I think he was pretty sure he was with the concrete guys. There's a lot of concrete over there. And he was a young guy and kind of rough around the edges, but a fine guy. And he said, I'm pretty sure it was Tanakula, and maybe word of this has got around and it's becoming legend. But he said to Nakula, this place is for that guy, Swami, Kriyananda or whatever, right? And I was standing there too, and we said, yeah. And he said, yeah, the guy, he wears the blue robes and stuff. Yeah. And he said, yeah, I just saw him over there walking up the hill. And Nakula didn't bat an eye. He just said, he kind of smiled. And I thought, there's lots of people in blue robes here. And, I didn't tell the guy, no, he's died and all this, but we just kind of shrugged and smiled. And but quick enough, anyways, I got it. And I thought, you know what? Maybe he did see Swami. I have my doubts about it still, but does it really matter? I've been tuning into Swami every day here. We all know he's no less with us than when he's in the body. That only depends on us. And so I had a lot of fun with that. Okay, he saw Swami. He didn't see Swami. It was a vision. It wasn't. I just thought, Swami's with us. It depends on us. And the other thing that struck me, interestingly, one of the things anyhow about that time, was every morning when I would come to the job site and come into the construction trailer, which was Nakula's office, I would sit down, and almost every morning without fail, Nakula would say, and those of you that know Nakula appreciate his discernment and his squinty eyes and his real wisdom, and underneath it all he has a tremendous devotion and dedication to our path and to Swami. But he would say to me, he says my name like this, Badre, are you here? And I would look at him and sort of didn't know what to say. And I think I would say, good morning, Nakula. I think I'm here, or something like that. But over time, I grew to appreciate that for whatever Nakula's reasons were for asking me, Badri, are you here? It was good for me to check in and say, am I here? Am I present? I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm here physically. That's a good existential question, but am I present? That's at least accounted for. But more importantly, in the spirit of discipleship, what came to me tonight is, do you give me your unconditional love? Do you give me your unconditional obedience? Because that's unconditional. And we can say yes, but we still have an ego. And we still have to make that yes a moment-to-moment thing. And so the question, are you here, becomes just a long thread of the guru asking the disciple, are you here? Do you give me your love? Do you give me your obedience unconditionally? And so Swamiji's legacy, I think, is not actually books. It's not music. It's not even community, although it would serve us certainly to use those things for our spiritual growth, and we do, and for our seva and moksha, as Jyotish puts it. But Swamiji's legacy is seva and is moksha. He blazed the trail for us to God, and that's the trail that we can follow if we choose to. We all know, most of us masters promise that for those who are dedicated till the end, we can be liberated in this lifetime. And we want nothing less. And we know he said the Satguru would be there for us when we left this world. And it's up to us to constantly acknowledge that presence of the Guru and to draw on that power for our seva, for our moksha. As it says in the discipleship vow that we'll do tonight, I know now that without thy strength added to mine, infusing it, I shall never find thee. Thine is the power, the grace, the infinite glory. And as it closes, until at last, through daily meditation, service, and devotion, I unite my soul with thy infinite spirit. And that's our prayer together for each of us. And so in that spirit, if you'd give us a moment to get situated, we have this short play that is not really intended as theater so much or drama, but to really bring us into the spirit of that moment of Swami's discipleship with Master. So please, it should be natural, I think, but just to hold any applause as we'll go right into our discipleship vow and flower ceremony after this, but to really tune into that living presence of Swamiji in the presence of the Guru for the first time in this life. So without further ado, if you'd give us a moment, the pilgrim meets his guide.
Arrived in Los Angeles, I checked my bag at the bus depot and proceeded at once to 4860 Sunset Boulevard, the address of the church I was seeking. It was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The morning service had ended long since, and the building, apart from a small scattering of people, was empty. A lady greeted me from behind a table at the back of the room.
May I help you?
Yes. Is Paramahansa Yogananda available? Please, I must speak to him.
Oh, I'm afraid you couldn't possibly see him today. His time is completely filled.
When can I see him?
His appointments are fully booked for the next 2.5 months.
But I've come all the way from New York just for this.
Oh, have you? How did you hear about him?
I read his autobiography a few days ago.
So recently? And you came just like that? Usually people write first. Did you write?
Well, I hadn't really considered that.
Well, I'm sorry, but you can't see him for another 2.5 months. In the meantime, you could study his lessons and attend the services here.
Morosely, I wandered about the church, studying the furnishings, the architecture, the stained glass windows. It was an attractive chapel, large enough to seat well over 100 people, and invitingly peaceful. An excellent place, I thought, for quiet meditation. But my own mind was hardly quiet or meditative. I was in turmoil.
You must take me. You must. This means everything to me. It means my whole life.
Disconsolately, I wandered about a while longer. Finally, it occurred to me, novel thought, that perhaps I simply wasn't ready, and that this was why the doors weren't opening to me. If this were true, I decided, I'd just go out and live in the hills near Hollywood, come to the services regularly, study the lessons, and wait. When I was ready, the Master would surely know it and would summon me. With this resolution in mind, and with no small disappointment in my heart, I made for the front door. No doubt I'd needed this lesson in humility. Perhaps things had always gone too easily for me. Maybe I was too confident. At any rate, the moment I accepted the thought of my possibly not being ready spiritually, the situation changed dramatically. I had reached the door when the secretary, Mary Hammond, I later learned her name was, called to me.
Since you've come such a long way, I'll just ask Master if he'd be willing to see you today. Master will see you next. I think it's okay.
A moment later, the Master and I were alone. What large, lustrous eyes now greeted me. What compassionate sweetness in his smile. Never before had I seen such divine beauty in a human face. The Master seated himself on a chair and motioned me to sit beside him.
What may I do for you?
For the third time that day, these same gentle words. But this time, how fraught with meaning.
I want to be your disciple.
The reply welled up from my heart irresistibly. Never had I expected to utter such words to another human being. The Master smiled gently. There ensued a long discussion, interspersed by long silences, during which he held his eyes half open, half closed, reading me as I well knew. Over and over again, I prayed desperately in my heart, "You must take me. I know that you know my thoughts. I can't say it outwardly. I'd only burst into tears. But you must accept me. You must."
I agreed to see you only because Divine Mother told me to. I want you to know that. It isn't because you come such a distance. 2 weeks ago, a lady flew here all the way from Sweden after reading my book, but I wouldn't see her. I do only what God tells me to do. Divine Mother told me to see you.
Again, a long silence, while I prayed ardently for acceptance.
I am taking fewer people now.
I see nothing in myself or marriage or worldly life. I'm sure it's fine for many people, but for myself, I don't want it.
It isn't so fine for anybody as people make out. God for everyone is the only answer. Anything less is a compromise. What did you think of my book?
Oh, it was wonderful.
That's because it has my vibrations in it.
Vibrations? I'd never thought of books as having vibrations. Clearly, however, I had found his book almost alive in its power to convey not merely ideas, but a new state of awareness. Incongruously, even absurdly, it now occurred to me that he might be more willing to take me if he felt I could be of some practical use to his work. And what did I know? Only writing. But that surely was better than nothing. Perhaps he was in need of people with writing skills. To demonstrate this ability, I said,
Sir, I did find several split infinitives in your book.
22 years old, literarily untrained, but already a budding editor. I've never lived down this faux pas. But Master took it with a surprised, then a good-humored smile. The motive for my remark was transparent to him.
All right. You have good karma. You may join us.
Oh, but I can wait.
No, you have good karma. Otherwise, I wouldn't accept you. I give you my unconditional love.
Immortal promise. I couldn't begin to fathom the depth of meaning in those words.
Will you give me your unconditional love?
Yes.
And will you give me your unconditional obedience?
Desperately, though I desired acceptance, I had to be utterly honest.
Suppose sometime I think you're wrong.
I will never ask anything of you that God does not tell me to ask. When I met my master, Sri Yukteswar, he said to me, "Allow me to discipline you." "Why, sir?" I inquired. "Because," he replied, "in the beginning of the spiritual path, one's will is guided by whims and fancies." Mine was too, Sri Yukteswar continued, until I met my guru, Lahiri Mahashai. It was only by attuning my haphazard will with his wisdom-guided will that I found true freedom. In that same way, you too, if you attune your will to mine, will find freedom. To act only on the inspirations of whims and fancies is not freedom, but bondage. Only by doing God's will can you find what you are seeking.
I see. I give you my unconditional obedience.
When I met my master, he gave me his unconditional love, as I have given you mine. He then asked me to love him in the same way, unconditionally. But I replied, "Sir, what if ever I should find you less than a Christ-like master? Could I still love you in the same way?" My master looked at me sternly. "I don't want your love," he said. "It stinks."
I understand, sir.
He'd struck at the heart of my greatest weakness, intellectual doubt. With deep feeling, I said to him,
I give you my unconditional love.
Now then, come kneel before me.
He made me repeat, in the name of God, Jesus Christ, and the rest of our line of gurus, the vows of discipleship and of renunciation. Next, he placed the forefinger of his right hand on my chest over the heart. For at least 2 minutes, his arm vibrated, almost violently. Incredibly, from that moment on, my consciousness, in some all-penetrating manner, was transformed. I left his interview room in a daze. It was unusual, to say the least, for anyone to be accepted so quickly. A few moments later, Master came out on the lecture platform. Smiling at us quietly, he said,
We have a new brother.
Now we have the opportunity to renew our own discipleship to Master, to this line of gurus. The first part, you can follow along silently with me for the prayer, and then later on we'll do the vow together. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, Friend, Beloved God, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar, Paramhansa Yogananda, I bow to you all. Divine Mother, I come before thee today, having long sought thy eternal light, long pondered the eternal truths, long followed the winding path that leads to thee. I have walked with my own strength, all too seldom with thine. I have walked with the thought, I want this from life, these answers, that guidance, this pathway or that. But I have seen that, as often as I made claims on life, it eluded me. As long as I presumed on thy will, it turned away from me. Ah, too long, Mother, have I sought thee for myself, not for thy love. I know now that without thy strength added to mine, infusing it, I shall never find thee. Thine is the power, the grace, the infinite glory. With loving faith now I seek thee through the ray of thy light that thou hast offered me. I will ascend to thee not by my power alone, but by the power of thy infinite love. I am thine, Mother, be thou eternally mine. Now repeat after me. I offer myself in service and devotion.
I offer myself in service and devotion
to your cause, and to the ray of the divine light, as it is represented by your channels. Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar, and Paramhansa Yogananda. Accept me into this family of self-realization, and make me also, through them, an instrument of thy blessings. Thus as I receive, may others be blessed also to receive. I will join my energies to those of my Guru Bhais, my spiritual family on earth. I will cooperate with them and especially with the living representatives and guides of my divine line of gurus. Discipline me. Guide me. Purify me. Teach me to attune myself to thy ray. Until at last, through daily meditation, service and devotion, I unite my soul with thy infinite spirit. We'll now have an opportunity to offer our flowers at the feet of the Guru. There'll be chanting in the background, and then afterwards we'll end with a short meditation, after which we'll close with a prayer together. You may come one at a time, or as you feel, with devotion to Master and gratitude to our guide.
Shri Guru Deva Om, Shri Guru Deva Om, Shri Guru Deva Om, Shri Guru Deva Amen. Shri Guru Deva Om, Shri Guru Deva Om, Shri Guru Gurudeva Om. Shri Gurudeva Om. Shri Gurudeva Amen. Shri Gurudeva Om. Shri Gurudeva Om. Shri Gurudeva Om. Shri Gurudeva Amen. Shri Gurudeva Amen. Shri Gurudeva Amen. Listen to my soul song. Listen to my heart song. Listen to my soul song. Listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song. Listen to my heart song. Listen to my soul song. Listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song. Listen to my heart song. Listen to my soul song. Listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song. Listen to my heart song. Listen to my soul song. Listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song. Listen to my heart song. Listen to my soul song. Listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song. Listen to my heart song. Listen to my soul song. Listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song. Listen to my heart song. Listen to my soul song. Listen to my heart